So this is the iPhone 11, 6 years old. And you know what? On the latest iOS 26, it feels surprisingly new. The animations are fluid, the design language is fresh, but, and this is a big but, that's not the whole story. It's actually a little deceptive. Hey everyone, so today we're taking a look at this phone, the iPhone 11, here in late 2025. This beautiful purple one is my secondary device, mainly for testing things like, the new iOS 26 beta programs and features. And I've got to say, I have a lot of thoughts. In this video, we're going to cover how it actually feels to use today, the good, the bad, and the big one. Why I genuinely believe that after 6 impressive years, now is the perfect time to finally move on from it. We'll look at the design, the performance, the camera, and what this whole iOS 26 experience is really like. It's kinda wild to think this phone came out back in 2019. This was a huge deal for Apple. It wasn't a pro model, but it brought some serious flagship features to a more accessible price point. The two biggest things for me were the camera and the chip. This was the first non-pro iPhone to get an ultra-wide camera, which totally changed how you could shoot photos. And it introduced night mode on the main camera, which was just magical at the time. But the real reason this phone has lasted 6 years, the reason we can even have this conversation, is the chip inside, the A13 Bionic. Apple put the same top-tier chip from its expensive Pro models into its most popular phone. That chip was so far ahead of the competition back then that it created this massive performance buffer, and that buffer is what has allowed it to keep up for 6 whole years. Okay, so holding it today, the design is classic. Rounded aluminum sides, glass back. This purple color still looks great, but you definitely feel its age with the bezels around the screen and the pretty sizable notch. The display itself is a liquid retina LCD. It's not an OLED, so you don't get those perfect inky blacks that you see on newer phones. But honestly, it's still a really good looking color accurate screen, and with the new liquid glass animations in iOS 26, it genuinely feels fresher than it has in years. Now for performance, for day-to-day stuff, scrolling, texting, browsing, it's actually pretty good. Apps open reasonably quick, not as snappy as a new phone of course, but it's not frustratingly slow. Swiping around iOS 26 feels really fluid. Just to put some numbers on it, I ran Geekbench 6 and it scored 1,762 on single core and 3,547 on multi-core. That single core score is still surprisingly capable, which is why most casual tasks feel fine. But, and this is the most important part of the performance story, the real issue here is the 4GB of RAM. This is the phone's Achilles heel in 2025. Let me give you an example. I'll be browsing in Safari, then switch to Apple Music, scroll through Instagram for a bit, maybe check a photo I took, and then watch a quick YouTube video. When I go back to Safari, boom, the page reloads. It reloads fast, but it's that constant reloading that shows you where the limit is. Modern apps are just so RAM hungry now, and 4GB doesn't cut it for real multitasking. And you feel that in gaming too. I played some Genshin Impact, which is super demanding, and yeah, it's playable, but you have to lower the settings and you'll still see frame drops here and there. And after about 30 minutes, this thing gets pretty warm, like noticeably warm to the touch. It can still do it, but it's definitely working hard. Okay, battery life. Now, full disclosure, this phone has a brand new battery in it, so the health is at 100%. For my light usage as a secondary phone, it lasts all day, no problem. But this is not the experience most people will have. For a typical user with a battery that's a few years old, you're looking at serious battery degradation once that battery health drops below 80%. Apple's software starts managing performance to prevent shutdowns. That's when things feel slower. You'll find yourself needing to charge it multiple times a day, maybe 3 or 4 times if you're a heavy user. It's probably the single biggest frustration for anyone still holding onto an iPhone 11. Now the cameras in good daylight, the cameras on the iPhone 11 can still take some really nice photos, the colors are great, and the 4K 60 video is super solid, but the cracks are really starting to show. The biggest limitation is that night mode only works on the main 1x wide camera. The ultra-wide lens in the dark is not great. I actually compared this iPhone 11 with the iPhone 16 in low light, and as you can see, the difference is just night and day, especially on the ultra-wide camera where the iPhone 11 doesn't have night mode. The shot is just dark, There's no advanced cinematic stabilization, no HDR video recording, and the detail just can't compete with the huge 48 megapixel sensors on newer iPhones like the 15 or 17. It's a camera that's perfectly fine for a quick snap, but it feels really basic by today's standards. Okay, I have to give Apple credit. Putting iOS 26 on this 6-year-old phone is impressive. The new design, the new animations, it really does make the phone feel fresh again. I mean, it makes older versions like iOS 18 feel ancient. I'm really used to the new liquid glass stuff, and it's super fluid on here. But you don't get all the new bells and whistles. Apple has gotten really good at gating features to newer hardware. So on the iPhone 11 with iOS 26, you won't get some of the fun stuff like spatial photos. It's a lot of these smaller quality of life things that you miss out on. And of course, the big one. It doesn't support Apple Intelligence. And honestly, for me right now, that's not a deal breaker. Here's why. Apple Intelligence as it stands is still kind of in its early days, almost like a public beta. It requires a much newer chip and more RAM than this phone has. Plus, the most powerful AI tools I use every day, like ChatGPT or Gemini, are just apps you can download. They're more powerful anyway. So while it's a bummer not to have it integrated, you're not really missing out on the best AI experiences. So all of that brings me to my main point. Why is now the time to upgrade? The first and most important reason is that iOS 26 is the end of the line. Based on Apple's history, this will be the last major iOS update the iPhone 11 ever gets. What does that mean? Well, you'll stop getting new features, but more importantly, after a while, you'll stop getting critical security updates. And eventually, your favorite apps will stop supporting your phone. We're at the very edge of that cliff right now. Reason number 2 is money. Right now, because this phone supports the latest iOS 26, it still has decent resale value. But the moment iOS 27 comes out next year and the iPhone 11 doesn't get it, the value of this phone is going to plummet. We saw the exact same thing happen with the iPhone XS when it got left behind. If you're ever going to sell this phone and get the most money back for it, this is your window. And finally, there's just the overall experience gap. It's not that the iPhone 11 is bad, it's that modern iPhones are just that much better. The performance animations on new phones are instant. On the 11, they feel a little like slow motion in comparison. The cameras are worlds apart. The displays are brighter and smoother. And you have things like USB-C, which is just the standard now, instead of the old Lightning port. So what should you get? If you have the budget and want a phone that will last you another 5 or 6 years, the jump to the new base model iPhone 17 is massive. You're getting a ProMotion display for the first time on a base model, a huge camera upgrade, a new design. It's a night and day difference. But honestly, you don't even need to go for the latest. The iPhone 15 is a fantastic deal right now. It's still a huge upgrade over the 11 in every single way. Better camera, OLED screen, USB-C faster chip, and will save you some money. Ultimately, the iPhone 11 has had an incredible run. It's a testament to how good that A13 chip was. But its time as a reliable daily driver is coming to an end. I'm curious to hear what you all think. Are you still using an iPhone 11? Are you planning to upgrade? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.